What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here, proud and ready to deliver you our draft analysis for NPBF Season 14. Before I get too deep into that, brief explanation, because I'm not going to focus too heavily on it as to why I disappeared. Long story short, I just had other things going on and other things to do, and I just kept forgetting to upload things. Life is busy. I'm an adult now. Like, actual adult. Like, doesn't count. Like, college doesn't count. I'm not really an adult in college. I'm just kind of an adult. Adult-ish. Sort of. So, like, had more time back then. Don't really have that kind of time now. By the time I'm done with work for the day, I just want to chill with my fiance, eat dinner, and go to bed. And that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much what most of my nights are. So, I'm just going forward, I'm not going to adhere to any schedules. I'm not going to try to promise any sort of scheduling for my content. If content comes out, it comes out. If it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. The only thing that's going to really be scheduled and, like, you know, pumped out regularly is going to be NPBF stuff on the weekends. That's pretty much the gist of that. Pretty straightforward. It is what it is. I just don't have time to dedicate to a proper schedule with my work schedule, and trying to sleep like a normal human being, and also spend time with my fiance, an appropriate amount of time with my fiance. It's just not happening. It's not possible. So just don't expect it. Sorry. I'll try and get stuff up when I can get stuff up. That's the best that I can give you. But anyways, with all that out of the side, we're back. NPBF Season 14. It's time. We were about 7th in the draft, and I think we got a pretty fun team. My first pick was kind of forced, though. I really wanted to use Galar Slowking. We got Professor X the Galar Slowking. Really wanted to use it. I was going to try to grab it like round 2 or 3, maybe, because it was tier 2. So I wanted to try to grab something really good out of tier 1 right off the gate and start my draft out strong. Well, we were told that was not happening. Good old Lord James's, who actually won last season, shout out to him, the GOAT, our fearless founder, killed it last season. He ended up picking up the big dub in the championship, giving him the wheel pick at the end of the draft. And, well, he basically told us all, like, if any of us wanted to use Galar Slowking, pick it up around 1, because he was going to grab it again on the wheel if he had the opportunity. So I had to pick up Galar Slowking around 1. As for the naming scheme this season, it's not going to be X-Men themed. I thought about going full X-Men theme, because I had a lot that could have been full X-Men theme. I could have pulled it off, but I didn't want to, because there's not enough X-Men characters that I particularly really like. Like, if I do a full naming scheme, it's for, like, one of my top 5 shows of all time. And there's shows where I genuinely don't have any characters that I particularly dislike. So, this season I'm actually just going to have each Pokemon be a representation of something that I really like. Basically, like, a representative from different camps of things that I really like. And X-Men are actually my favorite Marvel property, period. Love the X-Men movies, despite the massive plot holes and critical hatred. I don't care. I still love them. Plus, I'm a Wolverine stan till I die. Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character, period. Full stop. So, yeah. It's as simple as that. I love Wolverine, and I look forward to seeing who they cast for him in the MCU, if they even use him in the MCU. But the main thing there is you know, I love the X-Men property. I don't care. I cried at the end of Logan. I'll admit that. But yeah. So I love the X-Men, and so since Galar Slowking is all about the mind and whatnot, I feel like Professor X was a solid enough nickname. Really good coverage. Poison Psychic, really solid typing on the defensive and offensive side of things. Really good. typing in general. It was I believe it was one of the top 10 kill leaders last season, if I remember correctly. So that was a pretty big deal. I think it was a monster for James last season, so hopefully I can put in the same amount of work with it this season. It's crazy good bulk. Regenerator is a great ability. It's the only ability that I'm ever going to use, so it's a really great ability because it's that good of an ability. Yeah, just a really, really solid mon. All the coverage and things that I could need to prosper. Next up, I grabbed my tier 1, and that is going to be Tokoyami the Corviknight. My boy Tokoyami, who is one of my top 5 favorite Class A members in My Hero Academia, of course. I think he probably is my favorite. Like, if I really wanted to rank them, he'd be my favorite. But like, if for just my top 5, I would probably have to say it's Tokoyami, Todoroki, Bakugo. Some standards. I got Froppy in there, and then definitely Kirishima. We stand Red Riot over here. Goated character, but we got Tokoyami, our dark shadow of the team. Corviknight is just one of the best Pokemon to ever come out in the game of Pokemon. It's just good. It's just good at everything that it's meant to do. It always does what it needs to do. It never fails to fulfill its task. It's just that good. It's just the simplest thing. It's bulky as hell. It lives forever. It can set up in different ways and just murder things. It's just a good mon. Straight up a good mon. In my opinion, it is probably tied with Staraptor. If not, I would actually say it's better than Staraptor. It's the best competitively. If I ranked the starter birds, I guess Corviknight outshines everyone, by a country mile. It's not even close. And I'm also including early Gen 6 Talonflame in that, pre Gale Wings nerf, because obviously Gale Wings nerfed it down 2 draft tiers at least. Some drafts even put it in tier 4, so that thing got nerfed 2 to 3 tiers in one generation. It's pretty bad. But all the other birds are just kind of meh to ass. So Corviknight is goated. Such a good mon. Great defogger. Gives me a ground immunity immediately to help out with Professor X's weakness to ground, which is very, very cool. Very cool. Do appreciate that. Do thoroughly appreciate that. But yeah, Corviknight's a goat. Corviknight's dope. Love Corviknight. Yeet. Next up, grab my other tier 1. I wanted to grab my water type kind of early. I was pretty torn with this for a little while, but I can't remember if I've ever used this mon in draft. I don't remember. If I have, it was a long time ago. We picked up Going Merry the Keldeo. The Going Merry, obviously, the original ship of the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates in One Piece. Kind of resembled a lamb's head, but it's about as close as I could get because this little donkey head kind of looks similar. It's the best that I got. Listen, I didn't really have much else, and I didn't want to call him Chopper because I feel like that's a disrespect to Keldeo because Chopper's a pussy. Lol. Listen, he's part of the weakling trio for a reason. I'm just saying. Keldeo is really good. Base 108 speed. I wanted something to get above the base 100 barrier, so I got that. Incredibly high special attack. Hits like a truck. And honestly, I never paid attention to it before, but I never realized that Keldeo had base 90 in both defenses and 91 HP. I never realized Keldeo was bulky. I've just forgot to notice that Keldeo was bulky. So that's pretty cool. You got flip turn? I actually didn't even know this thing had flip turn. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Keldeo has flip turn. It's all over. It's all over. I'll take my win now. I didn't even know this thing had flip turn. That's amazing. That's so good. Like, I knew I got Air Slash this generation because, like, during Dynamax meta, when, you know, people were still Dynamaxing shit, I would max Airstream with Keldeo whenever I got it and, like, ran bats and stuff. And just fucking mess people up with that. But, no Dynamaxing here, of course. But we got Keldeo. We got Going Merry the Keldeo. This thing's actually going to be really fun. And Flip Turn's going to make this thing even more broken. Next up, I grabbed my Fairy type. That's going to be Kurama the Comfe. Obviously, Kurama is the, you know, plant-wielding, flower-wielding character from Yu Yu Hakusho. Felt like Comfe was a good representation of him, as it is just a string of flowers, like his rose whip kind of comes from. So that's felt like that was pretty solid here, not gonna lie. Comfe gives me a couple things. Gives me another defogger, which is pretty cool. I have so many defoggers on this team. I didn't realize I think at least 4 defoggers. I'm literally staring at all 4 of them right now. The other 2 that I can think of are coming next. So, but like a 4+ defoggers potentially. I think I ended up getting a spinner. I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. If I'm being completely honest, I don't remember my whole draft off the top of my head. But Kurama has access to Natural Cure, Triage, both really good abilities. You know, obviously keeping itself status cured, but also having priority to healing moves. That includes ones that do damage, so priority Draining Kids, priority Giga Drain. Stuff like that is really, really useful. Also having the ability to have priority things like Aromatherapy, / Heal Bell, Synthesis, all those kinds of things really, really make this mon a big pain to deal with. And then obviously things like Calm Mind, allowing it to boost up and potentially sweep teams with priority healing moves that can keep it healthy. So Comfe is a massive threat, decently bulky mon, and definitely something people are going to have to really, really pay attention to so that they don't just lose to it. It's pretty cool. Next up, I haven't actually gotten a chance to use this mon yet this generation, at least off the top of my head. I can't remember using it this generation. And that is Bergermon the Moltres. Obviously Bergermon from Digimon. Huge Digimon fan. I really need to sit down and like get caught up on the new Digimon Adventure, because from everything I've been hearing, it's fucking phenomenal. And I just really need to sit down and actually like get to watching it, because I just haven't had a chance. But I've heard it's really, really good, so I need to start watching it. I wish the dub was out for it, because I would watch the dub in a heartbeat. I'd binge the dub while I work, but it's only in sub, and it's hard to watch while I work. That's most of my anime watching is while I'm doing my job. So, kind of hard to do when I have to really pay attention to the show to try to, you know, read all the dialogue and stuff. It's pain. Anyways, Moltres. The introduction of heavy duty boots took this mon that was barely scraping RU and dragged it up to, it was OU for a while, but now it's UU again, which even still is really good. But boots basically saved this mon's existence. Not only does it hit like a truck with that base 125 special attack, because it's just that strong, but like 90, and 85 in bulk, plus 90 speed and 100 in attack. Like, this thing is incredibly versatile. I can do a lot of different stuff with it. Pressure and Flame Body are both great abilities. With Flame Body is going to be really, really useful. That potential 30% burn proc is going to be massive on a lot of the big physical threats we're going to be dealing with throughout the season. So it's definitely going to be something I'm going to be looking to hopefully get lucky with. Has access to a lot of really good things. It's another defogger. Has access to, like, obviously all the fire stab you can need. It's hurricane and stuff. Like, it's a really, really strong mon. Really, really strong. In about every conceivable way. I'm really, really excited about Moltres. I'm really excited, for sure. Next up, we have our fast electric type. He's also going to be serving as a spin blocker. It has access to defog as well. We have Yuri, guys, the Rotom Spook, the Rotom Ghost form. Obviously, Yuri, guys, is a reference to my personal favorite Poketuber right now. I've gone through different favorite Poketubers, but I think he's pretty much nailed the top spot, like, for permanent, unless some scandal comes out about him in, like, 2 years, which I really hope doesn't. I've already gone through having one Poketuber that I love have a scandal about them being a horrible human being. I really don't want to deal with that again. So, Luke, please don't be a problematic human. Thanks. Thank you, sincerely, fan me. But base 91 speed, really, really good speed tier to hit, obviously outpacing base 90s and below. We already have base 100 with Comfe and base 108 with Keldeo, so now we're hitting above the base 90s that Moltres speed tie with. We outspeed them with this. 95 special attack, still pretty good. It's not as strong as the other Rotom forms, but that's fine. 77 in both defenses and 50 in HP. Again, it's not as bulky as the other forms, which is a very big downside, but it makes up for that in, the speed. Like, the speed is huge. It still has access to defog. It's still, just as versatile. Obviously, like, stab, shadow balls, and hex. Like, Ghost is really strong this generation. Obviously, like, it's been talked about by everybody, but Ghost is really strong this generation because of the simple fact that Pursuit was removed. Thanks to the Pursuit, the Pursuit Thanos snap being thanks to Pursuit being Thanos snapped out of the game. Rotom is one of the many ghost types that is just really, really good now. Now, unless the dark type in front of it potentially a sucker punch, he can just volt switch out for free, or he can switch out on any dark types that come in on him for free without any real worries. Just do what Rotoms do. I'm really excited. I don't think I've ever actually used base Rotom off the top of my head. Like, I always try to draft one of the Rotom forms, but I don't think I've ever used base Rotom. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out. It's going to be really fun. And now next up, the only mon that is not named after a reference, because he is our mascot. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I did it. I finally did it. I've been the Anaheim Appletons since this generation began. Since Gen 8 dropped, I've been the Anaheim Appletons. And we finally have drafted Appleton. The best boy. The absolute best boy. Look at this adorable little creature. How could you even remotely look at this and think, I don't like this Pokemon? How do you look at this little apple pie beast of a monster's cutie pie? This little cutie pie, literally, and not like him? Look at him. He is special, he is perfect, and he shall be loved and appreciated. Period. End of discussion. He is greatness. Love him, please. Appleton is great. I love Appleton so much. Appleton is by far my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon. It is not even debatable. Appleton is my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon. It's hard. It's a there's a lot of Gen 8 mons I really like. Inteleon is up there. Clobbopus and Grapploct are up there. But Appleton is just perfection. He's just look at him. He's beautiful. Thick Fat is an amazing ability. It makes it so that even though he's 4 times weak to ice, he can still tank an ice move if he has to. Chews up fire type moves as well. Makes him resistant to them, which is really, really good. Weakness wise, we have a lot of things that can cover for his weaknesses already. Like weak to bug, we have like a dozen resists to that already. Weak to flying, we have a few resists to that. Weak to poison, we have an immunity and some resists. Like, it's just not a problem. As far as ice goes, our team's pretty ice weak. I don't want to say ice weak, but as of right now, as of this moment, our ice resist is Keldeo. So like, freeze dry just kind of says hello, but we kind of fixed that a little bit later. But this thing's a beast. Ripen could also be useful if the situation occurs. But base 80 in both defenses, base 110 HP, really bulky mon. Base 100 special attack and 85 attack both can be very serviceable as well. His signature move, Apple Acid, always lowering the SPDF by 1 stage. Makes this thing a constant threat because you can't just sit in front of Appleton. Like, you can't sit in front of Appleton and just do whatever you want. You just get stat dropped until you die. And with things like Leech Seed, Recover, berries, potentially with Ripen and stuff, like, this thing just doesn't die. Appleton just doesn't die. It just doesn't. It just doesn't die at all. It just sits there. It just sits there and doesn't die. I love Appleton for that. Appleton's goated. And like I said, if you hate this Pokemon, I don't understand how we're friends. If you consider yourself a mutual with me and you hate this Pokemon, don't talk to me ever again. I don't want to hear. I don't need that negativity in my life. Appleton is perfection, and I will hear no negativity towards him. Period. End of discussion. I love him. He is perfect. Next mon I picked up. One a dark type. We don't have our only psychic resist to this point is Corviknight. So I wanted a psychic immunity. Psychic spam is really strong. So I grabbed a dark type, and I was going to be liking the Zoroark. Base 105 speed, really good speed tier for us to hit for our team. Illusion is great because I can, toy around, disguise Zoroark as things, lure certain mons in that I want Zoroark to be able to kill and stuff like that. Like I've had it work plenty of times in the past where, my Zoroark was disguised as a fighting type, and my opponent fired off a psychic move, and it did nothing, and then I just hit them with a knockoff or a dark pulse or something, and knocked them out, and like it creates crazy mind games on top of it as well. It's where like people are always have to be like, all right, well, like if this is Zoroark, what happens? What do I do if this is Zoroark? Is there a play I can make that protects me from both Zoroark and the actual Pokemon involved here? What do I do? I love the mind games that it brings. It's really, really fun. It has good balanced offensive stats between base 120 special attack and base 105 attack, so I can pretty much work with both as well. Has access to Sucker Punch for priority. On top of that, can set up with like Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, Agility, whatever. Does it have Swords Dance? It does have Swords Dance as well, which is really great. I really like Zoroark, and I hope I can really make it do well this season. I called it Lycan because me and Ayla just finished playing through Resident Evil 8. Really, really loved it. I personally really loved it. I was kind of miffed at the ending at first, but then like once they dove deeper into it, I'm kind of more interested in seeing where like potential Resident Evil 9 goes going forward. So hopefully Resident Evil 9, is a thing that will happen in the next like 2-3 years or so. I would really, really like that. I really look forward to that. It'll probably be a while because I think Resi 7 came out while I was still in college, because I lived next to somebody who had like had it on VR, and I played it a little bit and I shit myself. Needless to say, I'm looking forward to whatever Resident Evil comes out with next, because I really do like the series, and Lycan just kind of fits with the game because this isn't a spoiler. Like, you can see from the trailers, there's werewolves and shit in it. So, Lycans and stuff. Yeah. Just, it's fitting. It's fitting, it makes sense. Shut up. So yeah. Moving onward, I needed an electric immunity. My only electric, I had a couple of electric resists, which help out my Moltres and Corviknight and Keldeo, which are all weak to it. I think at this point I was like 3 weaknesses to 2 resists with Rotom and Appleton, and so I needed a third kind of thing to balance it out. That's kind of how I look at it sometimes in my head. It's like, all right, does it balance out now? Do I have the balance? Like, is it balanced in a sense of like, do I have like the same number of resists or more than I do weaknesses? And this kind of helps with that, and that is going to be Orochimaru, the Sandaconda, for my ground type. Give me a nice immunity. Orochimaru, obviously, from Naruto. I recently rewatched the original Naruto, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I talked shit on Naruto for a while, but I decided, I was like, fuck it, I'll rewatch it. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, so I really enjoyed doing that again. And I'm about to start rewatching, or start watching Shippuden. I never actually got around to properly watching Shippuden. I've always seen all the clips and stuff, so I know everything like basically happens. I know all the final like pairings and stuff, but I never actually like did a proper watch through of Shippuden. So I'm gonna do that at some point. Get the full story all together. But Sandaconda is really, really cool. Sand Spit could be fun against like weather teams. If I can use this thing, switch it in, take a hit, and change the weather to sand, to kind of mess up any plans they might have had. It's not particularly the safest plan, unless like their weather setter is dead and they don't have a weather sweeper out in the field, because frankly, unless I'm trying to because frankly, the things that sweep under the weathers are all kind of problematic for this. Obviously hail, ice types, weak to those. Rain, water types, weak to those. Sun, typically chlorophyll sweepers are all grass types, weak to those. So, kind of not the best plan, but it could be fun regardless. But Shedskin's going to be mainly the ability I have, that 33% chance to cure a status for free at the end of a turn. It allows this thing to kind of just run rest for free and not have to run like Chestoberry or Sleep Talk or anything like that. I could just run rest raw, and then 3 other attacks of whatever I want them to be. It also has access to Glare, which is great. Coil, Body Press. A lot of different options this thing can do. It's a Stealth Rocker, which up until this moment, I don't think I had one. I did not. So, that's my Stealth Rocker. My only Stealth Rocker. Which is fine. It's fine because, like, yes, the extra chip from Stealth Rocks is incredibly important, but, like, especially looking over the teams, right, in hindsight, no team is without hazard removal, from what I could tell. I'd have to really deep dive the teams, but I'm pretty sure none of the teams are without hazard removal, and boots exist. The worth of hazards is extremely lessened by the fact that boots exist. So that's our Sandaconda. Now I'm realizing I did not draft a Rapid Spinner, but that's fine. Also, because all my hazard removal is defog, so drafting extra hazards kind of seems stupid. Because if I get hazards stacked in return for me hazard stacking them, then, well, but they have a spinner and I don't, then I just lose. Or there's no point in me hazard stacking, so whatever. Just good bulky mon, hits decently hard. Love me some Sandaconda. Next up, I had to patch that ice weakness and grab myself an ice resist. Not a lot of types I didn't already have on my team at this point. It was like ice, bug, rock, and normal were like the only types I didn't have yet at this point in time. So I wanted to grab myself a good resist. So I got myself an ice type, and I got myself one of the best available ice types at the time. That's going to be Fullbuster, the Glaceon. Fullbuster being the last name of Gray from Fairy Tail. I thought about naming this thing Or and making it female, but Or is just kind of like my forever nickname for Alolan Ninetales. I didn't want to double up that nickname on something that on something like this, so I just kind of went with Fullbuster. I thought Fullbuster would be cool. But really, really cool. Really, really fun mon. Its abilities aren't really going to get any usage here. Its abilities don't really matter. Snow Cloak / Ice Body don't really affect us unless there's a team that has Alola Ninetales or Abomasnow and or Vanillix and runs a Hail Core. His abilities don't matter. But what is important is base 110 defense, base 95 SPDF, and resistance to ice, which is incredibly important. Also has access to freeze dry for itself, which is really good. It can take the cleric role off of Comfe if it needs to, because it does have access to Heal Bell and Wish and stuff. Even though it has pretty low HP, it can still utilize Wish potentially, which is good. It doesn't have a lot in cover when it comes to coverage options, but that's fine, I think. Like, it's got Water Pulse, it's got ice moves, obviously. I can definitely utilize Mirror Coat. Test me, I will fucking do it. It's not the best Pokemon in the universe, obviously. It's a tier 5. E tier, whichever you refer to. It's a bottom tier mon. It's not supposed to do a lot, but it's here to do what it needs to do, and that is be my sponge for ice type attacks. That's literally what it's here for, and that is what it will do. So, hooray for Glaceon. Now, my last mon surprised me because I've never actually looked at this mon's stats. I just always knew in my head, it's like, this mon has high attack stat. That's all I know. Its stats are really good. Its move pool isn't deep, but it's a really solid normal type that I feel I can have a lot of fun using, that I've never ever used before, guaranteed. And that is Bobobo, the Bouffalon. Obviously, Bobobo being from Bobobo, a classic comedy anime about hair. And the main character, he has an afro. So, I felt like this was a very fitting nickname. Bouffalon is really interesting, actually. It has the Reckless ability, which is typically run on it because it typically likes to run nice head charge, base 120, 100% accurate, normal type stab move. Like, it runs head charge and it smacks things. That's what it does. But like, it also has access to like close combat now. Obviously, Earthquake, Iron Head, Mega Horn, Poison Jab, Outrage. Rock Slide and Stone Edge. Like, it's got coverage moves. It's got a decent chunk of coverage moves. Zen Headbutt, Wild Charge. Like, it's covering a decent chunk of typings and things that might want to switch in on it. You know, Throat Chop for ghost types and stuff. It has access to Toxic, obviously, so you can, like, Toxic things. It's Swords Dance for setup, Taunt, so I can be annoying for things. And on top of that, it's got Cotton Guard. So I can make it bulky if I wanted to, which would be kind of funny. Just imagine, like, Cotton Guard, Rest Talk, like, Head Charge. So I'm just constantly doing, like, a bunch of recoil to myself, but I'm just so bulky that nothing can touch me, so I just win. And look at these stats. 95 HP, 95 defense, 95 spit F. I don't care that he doesn't have special attack, he doesn't need it. I don't care that he's slow, he's got base 55 speed. I don't care. These defensive stats are so good. And with the fact that he's normal type, most types are neutral on him. Only has one weakness. Also provides an immunity to Ghost, which Ghost is such a strong type this generation, it kind of is necessary. With that being said, with those defenses, I could very easily build, like, complex EV spreads that make this thing not be 2 KO'd by an entire team, pretty much. Aside from, obviously, whatever their fighting type is. I could probably make this thing not 2 KO'd by a lot of teams. Do you know how crazy that is? That's nuts. This mod is actually really cool. So, I'm really excited to use Bouffalant. I've never used Bouffalant before in anything, ever. Even when I was a normal type gym leader, I never touched Bouffalant. It also has Sap Sipper, which is kind of cool. It's a grass immunity. Not like grass like really hurts me. I have 2 weaknesses to grass in Orochimaru and Going Merry, but and I have a lot of resist to it, but having an immunity is also really cool. This team shits on Rillaboom. This team shits on Rillaboom. This team makes Rillaboom irrelevant. I could literally bring a whole team that just makes a Rillaboom non-existent. Just bring fucking Moltres, Corviknight, Slowking, Appleton, Glaceon, and Sap Sipper, Bouffalant. What's Rillaboom doing? Losing. Period. No debate. Literally bring a whole team that shuts down Rillaboom. That's hilarious. Yeah, that is the team. Just to recap everything from start to finish, we got Professor X from the X-Men, the Galar Slowking. We have Tokoyami, the Corviknight from My Hero Academia. We have Going Merry, the Keldeo from One Piece. We have Kurama, the Comfe from Yu Yu Hakusho. We have Bergermon, the Moltres from Digimon. We have Yuri Guys, the Rotom representing Game Boy Luke in the Poketubing community. We have the best boy Appleton, our mascot. We have Lycan, the Zoroark, representing Resident Evil 8. We have Orochimaru, the Sandaconda, representing Naruto. We have Fullbuster, the Glaceon, representing Fairy Tail. And we have Bobobo, the Bouffalant, representing Bobobo, Bo. Really, really fun-looking team. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our schedule is incredibly difficult. We actually play Shawnee and the Pyro Striking Cinderaces week 1. He has been our kryptonite and the biggest thorn in our ass for a while now, so there's that. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm not promising it, but I may also be having a certain fiancé of mine's solo Draft League debut up on the channel as well. So man, I'm going to try for that. I'm not promising it because I can't promise that she's going to be down for that, but I'm going to put it out there because it's something that you potentially can be excited for. But with that being said, the season is off to a roaring start. It's going to be great. Can't wait. Until next time, guys, I'm PokePrimer, and I am signing off. Peace.